Have you ever reached a point in life where everything felt like it was falling apart, where hope felt distant, and the thought of giving up whispered louder than your will to keep going? If you're there right now, you're not alone. And this message, it's meant for you. I found myself in that dark place once, a season in life where everything I had built began to crumble. I lost people I cared about. I lost opportunities I had worked hard for. And more painfully, I started to lose belief in myself. I'm being brutally honest with you. I questioned everything, even my faith. I started wondering if God had turned his face away. I was exhausted, emotionally numb, and spiritually drained. But here's the truth I discovered through that pain. Life has a sneaky way of making you forget why you started and who you were living for in the first place. When the storms come, they blur your vision and drown out your purpose. I had to get back to the root. I had to ask myself, what am I really fighting for? Why do I want to live? These weren't easy questions, but they were necessary. During my depression, I realized I had become stuck in a vicious loop. Day in, day out, I was doing the same things, clinging to toxic habits, surrounding myself with thoughts that dragged me deeper into darkness. I was praying for change while still repeating the behaviors that were chaining me to misery, hoping for a miracle, yet ignoring every opportunity for growth. Imagine this. Your life is a wheel, and every day you're spinning it in the same rut, expecting a new path to appear. That was me, chasing hope while staying still. And it was killing my spirit. I lost sight of gratitude, of the good that still existed. I forgot how to be thankful, how to see the small miracles already around me. And if you're in that place, you might believe that because you're alone, unemployed, struggling, or just not where you want to be, you're somehow a failure, that you don't measure up. But let me tell you something important. You are not your circumstances. The world may judge you by your current status, compared to others, your job, your relationship, your productivity. You might look at people who seem to have it all together and think, I'm just not enough. That's a lie. It's a trick of the mind. Your position in life doesn't define your worth. In fact, science backs this up. When you're low in life's social hierarchy, your brain reduces serotonin levels, making you more sensitive to negativity and less able to feel joy. That's not just mental, it's chemical. Real depression isn't always about pain on the outside. It's often a war between what you are capable of and what you believe you are. It's a disconnect between your true potential and your current perception of yourself. But here's a perspective shift. The greatest, most impactful people in history, the ones we look up to as legends, they didn't succeed despite their pain. They succeeded because of it. They endured loss, heartbreak, rejection, and failure. And through it all, they were being refined. Suffering isn't a punishment, it's preparation. When you go through fire, it burns away the false layers, ego, pride, illusion. What's left is the real you, the one with scars and strength, wisdom and clarity. You're not here to avoid pain. You're here to grow through it. You're here to evolve, to share what you've learned, to become someone who can light a path for others in the dark. So if you feel like your fire is gone, if your motivation has vanished, ask yourself, am I chasing my own dreams or living out someone else's script? Have I settled for average? Have I allowed comfort to replace courage? Gone are the days of blindly accepting mediocrity. Gone are the days of treating yourself as if you don't matter. It's time to raise the bar, not for anyone else, but for you. This is your call to rise again, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, because your story isn't over yet. We just talked about how losing sight of your purpose can drag you into a loop of depression and stagnation. Now let's move forward, because once you become aware of that cycle, it's time to break it. You see, we often think that fulfillment is all about reaching the goal. But here's the truth. 90% of fulfillment actually comes from the process. It's the sweat, the grind, the quiet discipline day after day that builds real satisfaction. Fulfillment isn't some distant reward waiting at the finish line. It's the energy you invest while moving toward the finish line. That's where your fire is forged. When depression and anxiety creep in, and they will, you'll feel like giving up again. But that's when you need to embrace endurance. Depression isn't always about sadness. Often, it's about carrying on when every fiber of your being wants to collapse. You wake up and you fight through the next hour, then the next. You follow your plan, your habits, even when your soul feels numb. You hope, and if hope isn't enough, then you endure anyway, because your life still matters, even in the darkness. Yes, you eat even when you have no appetite. You stand up when your body screams to stay curled up in bed. You speak to people when isolation seems more comfortable. Discipline becomes your anchor. It's the leaky boat you're rowing through a relentless storm. You might be soaked, you might be bruised, but that boat, your habits, your structure, your routine, keeps you afloat. And when anxiety strikes, the same principle applies. Your hands shake, your thoughts spiral, your chest tightens. But you move anyway. You breathe. You act. You keep going. Not because it's easy, but because you're committed to something greater, your future self. The version of you who's healed, who's growing, who's standing tall because they kept walking through the fire. Maybe all you have right now is blind, gritty endurance. That's enough. Because even without clarity, your heart knows you're working towards something worthwhile. Maybe you're doing it for your family, maybe for your kids, or maybe, just maybe, you're doing it for the person inside of you who still believes in the light, even when all you see is darkness. That pain you feel, your shame, your guilt, your anxiety, it's not there to destroy you. It's your conscience shaking your soul, whispering, you're not living in alignment with who you were meant to be. It's a wake-up call, a divine alarm bell urging you to step up. And the beauty of it is, you can flip the switch starting tomorrow, but not if you keep living life on repeat. Not if you keep running in circles around toxic relationships, feeding your mind with chaos, numbing yourself with distractions. Not if you keep wasting your energy on people who don't value your presence or on problems you were never meant to solve. That pattern? That's not routine. That's self-destruction in disguise. That's the blueprint for burnout. That's the recipe for losing yourself completely. It's time to get real, to be brutally honest with yourself. Because if you keep living with the same destructive habits, the same tired excuses, the same fearful mindset, you will keep getting the same painful outcomes. But what if your weakness isn't failure? It's powerlessness. And what if that powerlessness is actually an invitation to reclaim your strength? Here's how. Write about your pain. Write about your insecurities. Write about how it makes you feel when someone else succeeds. Not to judge them, but to understand yourself. To see your not enoughness for what it really is. A message, a mirror, an opportunity to grow. And then sit with those feelings. Don't run. Don't numb them. Don't throw stones at those who are winning just because their victories expose your doubts. Ask yourself, why does their success unsettle me? The answer might just lead you to the broken beliefs you've been carrying for years. And then what? You process, you journal, you meditate, you pray, you sit in silence and let the storm pass. Because on the other side of that stillness, there's clarity. And in that clarity, you'll begin to rise. And then, once you've gathered the courage to sit with your pain, not run from it, not blame others, not make excuses, you'll begin to realize this. Emotions are not ultimate truth. You can feel them deeply, but they don't define who you are. I used to believe that every time I had a dark thought or a wave of sadness, it meant I was depressed. So I just stop everything, sit there, and sink deeper into it like a ship drifting without direction. But then I learned something powerful. Don't stop. Keep driving. Don't pull over to examine every cloud that passes through your mind. Don't mistake a passing storm for your final forecast. Your feelings are not God. They don't have scars in their hands or a spear wound in their side. Yet we often pay more attention to fleeting emotions than we do to the truth, to hope, or to God Himself. We let feelings take the driver's seat of our lives, while the one who died for us sits unnoticed in the back. Feel whatever you need to feel. You have the right to feel tired, sad, overwhelmed. But do not hand over the keys to your emotions. They're not qualified to run your life. I found my freedom when I learned how to laugh at those feelings. Now when they come, I no longer panic. I no longer obey. They have no authority over my actions. I still choose to love. I still choose to be kind. I still choose to show up because I decide, not my emotions. The most important thing when you're at rock bottom, even before you fully understand your emotional pain, is to create momentum. With momentum comes hope. With momentum comes motivation. And with momentum comes that small but powerful feeling that tomorrow could be better. Sometimes it starts with 3 small tasks. Just 3. Complete them. It doesn't have to be impressive. It just needs to be forward. Do you know that 86% of adults feel unfulfilled? Over 60% of people with careers feel unfulfilled at work. Why? Because they're not living in alignment with their true radiance. They're following someone else's dream, someone else's script. If you're using someone else's playbook to run your life, of course you'll feel off. If your soul burns orange but you're being told to chase something blue, how could you possibly feel fulfilled? Your inner fire is dim because you're trying to live a life that was never meant for you. Don't let depression lie to you any longer. Don't let it whisper, "You're not enough." Don't let it convince you that your best days are gone, that you're worthless, that you'll never matter, that you'd be better off gone. Those are lies, and they've whispered in your ear for so long, you've started to believe them. You've started to act them out. But it's time, right now, to dig up every seed of doubt, every root of falsehood, and in their place, plant new seeds, seeds of faith. And how do you do that? You simply speak truth back to the darkness. You say, yes, I'm going through this, but at least I'm still here. Yes, things are heavy, but at least I have breath in my lungs. Yes, I feel broken, but at least I still have time to heal. Flip the script. Look at your pain from a new angle. Find a reason, any reason, to be grateful. And with that single shift in perspective, you weaken the grip of depression. You open the window, and slowly the light gets in. You don't need to climb the whole mountain today. You just need to take one step. And if you keep walking, even slowly, you won't stay in the same place forever.